Hey guys, welcome to the MagFed Ranch Paintball channel, and today I'm going to discuss how to set up your assaulter loadout. But before I get into it guys, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, share, and comment. Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, so this is going to be a loadout for the assaulter position, but based upon a couple of different criteria, right? I always want to make sure I explain to you guys kind of the objective of what we are trying to do, what I'm trying to give the information for you guys before I start giving you guys kind of all the different layouts or metrics. And the criteria for this is going to be kind of just your normal day of play, right? So it's not going to be like a long all-day event, right, where you might have to be out on the field completing all these different objectives or missions for your team, and you might be on the field a little bit longer. So, you might need some more stuff with you, whether that might be maybe tools to do certain missions. Maybe you have to carry other stuff that's part of the scenario gameplay that you're trying to do. Maybe you have to carry maybe grenades, other type of devices that will help your team. This is, like I said, is for kind of just a one round of game, like elimination gameplay, guys, where it's just kind of your team versus the other team. Or maybe just one mission within a game day event where it's mostly just about eliminating and making sure that you have enough ammo with you to be able to eliminate your threats and your targets, and of course and help your team clear that round. Okay guys, so if you were going to do longer events, you would want to have potentially more magazines, like I said, extra equipment. You also would probably want to play with a remote line air tank system, so that way you don't have to worry about air deficiency issues with just a 13 CI or a 10 CI tank. So that way, you can shoot more magazines. Okay, guys. So this is kind of just based upon an assaulter type setup with just a buttstock air tank and just a fairly specific limited time of gameplay. Okay, guys. Now the other criteria I want to talk about too is that I definitely recommend the T15 style of marker builds for your assaulter builds. Can you do an assaulter build with the M17 markers, or let's say like the 468 markers? Definitely. Obviously, like I said, I've shot videos explaining why I don't think those markers are the best setups for assaulter builds, but because of the AR-10 size, right, difference versus a T15, now you're talking about different, bigger marker, bigger magazines, less space, right, more weight, right? And so as an assaulter position, you want to have a lightweight, you'll be able to advance fast, move fast, play longer because of that lighter weight, and of course, carry more magazines, carry more ammo, okay, guys? Because the style of gameplay that you should be trying to promote is obviously a team format style of play where you're obviously moving together as a team, laying down that volume of fire that you need to suppress the enemy, eliminate the enemy, allow your team to move to pretty much overwhelm your enemy, right? So you're going to need extra magazines and speed. All those things are going to come to a play, guys, okay? So let's talk about the marker setup real quick. Like I said, I love these shorty setups with the T15s. This is our Gordon carbine marker clone. It's got the 13 CI tank, 10-inch barrel with obviously the Reaper suppressor that I just did a review on, guys. Now, the thing about the assaulter position too, when it comes to optics, we can definitely do red dots instead of magnification scopes or crossbow scopes, because our goal here, as I stated in a previous video, guys, is you're looking at 60 yards or in, okay? Now, granted, are these markers capable of hitting targets up to 100 yards? Definitely. Accurately as well. Target area, specific targets out to 100 yards is capable with this marker, right? But your goal is obviously, like I said, is to rush the enemy, overwhelm the enemy, let your other teammates who are DMs or obviously snipers give that long range, obviously suppressive fire for you as you're moving with your team to assault the enemy, okay? So red dots will be totally fine for that setup. We can also do like the MR18 setups that we have, right, guys? And of course, instead of the carry handle setup, you can definitely do the adjustable riser setup to allow you to have those holds at the longer distances, like 80 or 60 yards. Okay, guys, but for this setup where it's literally just fixed, this is definitely a good setup out to 60 yards. Okay, you can generate the holds that you need to eliminate targets from 60 yards in. Okay, guys, and yeah, I'll shoot a video showing you guys those accuracy results with this marker soon, so watch out for that. Okay, guys, so that's kind of the marker setup build that we're going to obviously build our loadout around. Okay, guys, and so it's going to be, you know, the AR style of magazines and that type of platform. Okay, guys, and for me, guys, when we're talking about an assaulter loadout, what is the, you know, the question always asked is, what is the proper amount of magazines? And the truth is, the more the merrier, right? The more magazines you have, the more rounds you have, the more rounds you'll be able to fire to suppress the enemy, eliminate the enemy when you're doing the assaulting, right? Because as the assaulter position, you're going to be obviously getting into the most engagements, the most firefights possible, right? You're in essence rushing the enemy and trying to take on as many enemies as possible, okay? And of course, like I said, you're going to want to shoot more because you have to lay down that volume of fire to allow your teammates to move, okay? So I have a couple of setups here, guys. Now, obviously, we're going to run out of room. You know, it'd be great to carry 20 magazines, right? But obviously a little unrealistic, not only in terms of just how much space is on our body, weight, you know, obviously user friendliness, right, guys? So I think a good rule of thumb for an assaulter loadout is going to be minimum 5 guys. So 5 full magazines, right? Like the long 19 round magazines for your T15s, up to 7. So 5 to 7, okay, guys? And that means there's going to be 1 in the marker, and then there's either going to be 4 on a little chest rig, a minimalist chest rig like you see I have here, or a more standard chest rig like I have on this one, which is, I believe, a Condor. But this one has 6 magazines in it, okay, guys? So I'll go over each setup with you guys real quick, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys kind of what the minimum amount of magazines you want to have. Now, of course, they have provisions for more magazines. If you can somehow get to 8 or 9, that's definitely a plus, but I think 7 is a good number to not only be able to kind of fit within the you know, the standard chest rig setups that are out there, but also just weight and obviously user friendliness. Okay, guys, so let's go over the minimalist rig first. Okay, guys, so this one right here I have, it's just a 4 magazine chest rig, minimalist chest rig. I'm not going to go over the brand specific, guys. I'll do that in another video. I'll do a reviews on these different chest rigs on other videos. But yeah, just to show you kind of the different options you have. You'll notice that the T15 magazines, very similar to the AR-15 style magazines, guys, right? So they fit in here no problem. Certain chest rigs too, guys, they do allow enough space for you to double stack the magazine in that same pouch. So you'll see here that I'm able to stack 2 magazines in this front pouch. However, you won't be able to do that on the magazines as they get closer to the edges, okay, guys? The reason for that is obviously you're stretching out the material when you're trying to stuff 2 magazines into it. And so you won't be, for example, here I'll show you guys on this chest rig, you typically won't be able to stuff 2 magazines on the side pouches as easy. The pockets aren't forgiving. There's not enough material in the outer edge pockets for you to do that, okay? But like I said, if you wanted to, you could, I guess, technically run 6 magazines in this minimalist chest rig, but I personally don't like doing that, guys. I kind of like to keep my magazines separate, because sometimes what will happen is as you go to, you know, draw a magazine, you might pull the other magazine out with it. So it could drop, you know, it can create issues. I prefer, if you're going to want to carry more magazines, you might as well just get the bigger chest rig to begin with. instead of having to kind of just overstuff your minimalist rig, right? I think this is a great rig, guys, because you know it keeps the weight light. It gives you 5 19 round magazine capacity, right? So that's, you know what, 95 rounds of first strike. It also has typically pistol pouches for you too. So if you're carrying a backup marker, a TIPX or a FSC, you can carry 1 marker and 4 more magazines like you see here. Typically, I just run a TIPX with 2 extra magazines, guys, because that's generally the amount of shots that one 12-gram cartridge of CO2 will fire. So I usually don't carry more than that. Plus, you want to use your primary marker as much as possible. It's going to give you the best accuracy. It's going to give you the best volume of fire. You know, it's 19 rounds versus 7 rounds in your TIPX pistol. So typically, like I said, the backup is literally just that. Worst case scenario backup. Or, of course, in very maybe unique or selective situations, right? Now, why do we not want to use, or at least not recommend, an M17 or 468 as an assaulter build? The reason, guys, for that is not only is the markers heavier and the magazines heavier, but they typically follow an AR-10 pattern of rifles. So all the gears that would work with AR-15s typically don't work with the AR-10s. Now, this particular magazine is kind of cool because, like I was telling you, the pockets are a little bit wider, and so they do work with the M17 markers. Okay, so this one that is specifically for AR-15s, it works with AR-10, size mags. However, most chest rigs don't, and so you'll notice that this one right here, that is for the AR-15, it's not going to take. And here, I'll try to stuff it in here real quick for you guys, but it's not going to go in. Yeah. So, it's a very tight fit, guys. Okay, guys? It's possible, but it's a very tight fit. And if you try to squeeze 2 in here, I'll show you guys if I try to squeeze 2 in here. Bam, bam. That's the reason why I had these 2 magazines out for you guys to show you. It's just, you see that? It just won't go down very tight. It's super tight. It's really stretching the magazines out. There's not a really good chance that it's going to fit all 6 in here without, kind of obviously hitting into one another. Is it possible? Yes. Is it ideal? Not really. Like I said, so you can make it work, but not really the ideal setup versus the T15 or AR-15 style magazines. Okay, guys? All right, so let's get back into this minimalist chest rig before we move on to the bigger loadout, guys. I wanted to mention something about magazines. So what magazines should you rock, right? Should you rock the 19s, the 11s, or even the 30s, right? Obviously, the 30-round magazine, it's not going to fit in here, guys. So it's obviously, something that you want to have in your marker if you're going to play, with a 5 magazine loadout or a 7 magazine loadout. The 30-round magazine is just way too big. Here, let me grab it to show you guys. So here I have the 30-round magazine for you guys, and as you guys can see, yes, you can extend these belt loops, but it's just really big when you try to go. It's not very ideal, right? I mean, this chest rig is going to be sitting here, typically on your chest when you're playing. So can you do it? Yes, but like I said, it's not the most ideal size to be playing with, because it's just way too long. The other thing too is it's going to be really long on your marker as well. So this is might run into stuff when you're obviously running really fast and trying to assault your position. You have to dive. You have to get behind a bunker. So as cool as the 30 round magazines, guys, are for, like, you know, giving you that additional firepower, definitely see you can using it, but it's not ideal. You know, the 19 round is definitely going to be more just user friendly. It's definitely going to be more able to, you know, like, obviously, you know, not get in the way of stuff. And then, of course, obviously within your gear, it's not going to get in the way, right? It's literally going to be out of your way and just not seem obtrusive, right? Now, I wouldn't recommend running the 11 round, guys, because once again, like I said, as an assaulter, you want to be, you know, shooting more than the DM or the sniper position, right? So you want to be able to lay that suppressive fire, you know, engage your enemies, shoot more, so that way you can ensure that you're not worried about one hit, one eliminations, right? You might need to shoot at a target 3 or 4 times because they're running or they're trying to hide behind a bunker, and you got to put rounds on them just so make sure that you hit them, and that also that they call themselves out, right? So you're going to be definitely shooting more than the other roles, okay, guys? So 11 rounds, definitely cool, but 19 rounds are definitely recommended. Okay, guys, so that's kind of the minimalist chest rig. Let's kind of go to more of what our, you know, your standard chest rigs can be. And this one, like I said, I think this one is from Condor, guys. I'll do a review of it in another video, but you'll notice that it has 6 holders for the different your T15 magazines. And unlike the minimalist rig where you have to stuff 2 magazines into it, these actually have separate pockets with fabric in the middle dividing them. So it actually has slots for 6 magazines, and of course a retention lanyard, right, a tension strap for each magazine. This one also has 4 pistol pouches as well too, guys. So you notice I have my TIPX pistols magazines in here, but you could carry 4. Once again, I told you guys, one 12-gram CO2 cartridge usually is able to fire 3 magazines, so having 5 magazines on you, unless you're planning to carry more CO2 cartridges, not really needed. Also, it has this other pouch in front of here. I kind of want to touch upon this real quick, guys, because a lot of these chest rigs, they are made for real steel rifles, right? And unfortunately, their pouches that are sewn into the chest rigs or designed for these chest rigs are made for real steel stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of our gear, like let's say like the squeegee, or even sometimes magazines, it'll fit into their normal standard magazine pouches, but it won't fit into like these other potential magazine pouches because of the size. And so I guess that's another video I'd love to shoot, guys. Things that we need, right? We need this now, but we definitely need chest rigs designed for mag-fed paintball and first strike mag-fed paintball, okay? But anyways, that's a different video. But for example, I have my squeegee that I will carry here just in case, right? And at least it'll get held in. It's not gonna come out. Just in case I do get a break for whatever reason, or I just need to clean out my barrel. But there's some slots for that. It also has some extra molly here on the side that you'll notice that I have my TIPX holster on here for my backup marker. And also it has it on the other side as well too. So if you wanted to have like a grenade pouches or an extra magazine pouches or anything else you want to do, you can do that as well. That could also be where you can attach your air tank if you like, right? If you wanted to run a remote line. It also has a back strap that if you wanted to run your remote line is there as well too with your air tank, your remote line tank. You could do that as well. So that's kind of cool about this kind of like this standard chest rig. It has a little bit more provisions for adding extra stuff compared to the minimalist chest rig, right? But I really like the minimalist chest rig, right? It's just light, it's just simple. It holds just enough for you to be able to complete your objective, right? The other thing you're going to need too as well is going to be some type of dump pouch, guys. Now, you could play where you just obviously after you expend this magazine, you go do a reload, right? Whether that's an emergency or a tactical reload. And of course, you can always stuff that empty magazine or half-loaded magazine back into your pouches. But I found it's just a lot easier to run a dump pouch, guys. This one is from Condor as well. I'll do a review of this pouch in a different video, but as you guys can see, it's just got a super big opening here to hold a bunch of magazines, and you can literally just drop it in. One thing I love about this design is you can literally just drop these magazines in, okay? And then when this flap closes and the Velcro stays shut, it pretty much stays shut. I've never had this thing come unloose in the field. Look at it, like it's really hard to kind of pull out already. Very strong Velcro system, and I've never lost a magazine out in the field, guys. It does also have this top kind of slot pouch that you could just stuff the expended magazines into, but I find that that's actually slower to do because every time you got to do it, you're gonna have to flip that thing up, and then you're gonna have to kind of find the hole, right? You know, whatever, right? That's what she said. But anyways, you gotta have to kind of find the hole when you know, to stuff the magazines in. I prefer just kind of running the dump pouch open, throw it in, and shutting it closed. This magazine pouch is also very roomy, guys. And so here, I'll show you guys as well. But it can hold, you know, if you're doing a 7-round, and this is the other reason why I want to bring it up, guys, is because this is also the reason why we recommend a 7-round, a 7 magazine loadout, because this thing holds 6 magazines. You see that, guys? And so 1 in your marker, you expend all the magazines, you can pretty much dump all 6 of the expended magazines to this dump pouch, and it'll, you know, without a hitch, fast, without it, you know, you losing it, instead of trying to fumble getting it back into your just your regular chest rig pouches. Okay, guys? So that's kind of why 7 is kind of that sweet number. It also kind of matches our standard military loadout too, guys, right, of 7 magazines. But like I said, 5 to 7 is kind of the ideal number that you want to play with as an assaulter. Now, real quick, another thing I wanted to talk about with these chest rigs is the way you orientate the magazines, right? So if anybody's here has shot real steel, you know, there is a particular way you want to orientate the magazines depending on how you do your reloads, right? If you have your magazines upside down inside the pouch, on the rifle or AR style magazines, you want to have, in essence, the front of the magazines pointing backwards, right? Just like this, right? So that way, when you go to grab it, you're going to pull it up, and bam, it's right there, right? It's right there for you to go ahead and reload your marker, come up, push the bolt release, and you're ready to rock and roll, right? If you're going to load the magazine with the top of the magazine upwards, then it's opposite, right? You want the front of the magazine facing outwards or to your right, right? And the reason for that is because obviously when you go to pull it up, you pull it up out of your magazine and bam, you're ready to, with your hand in position, you're already ready to go, right? Because if you do it this way, then it's kind of like you're kind of having to cock your elbow to go reload. Don't get me wrong, it's still doable. It's just not naturally as smooth, right? But generally, with AR magazines, you do want to have those magazines upside down, facing backwards, right? And that brings me to a good point, guys. I wanted to bring that particular reason up is because the way our magazines are loaded, specifically the T15 or M17 style magazines. With the magazines in general that are the winding style of magazines, okay, guys? So with the winding style of magazines, you have to be careful because the spring mechanism release is at the very top of the magazine. There's a little button right here that if you press it, it's going to release the magazine and of course, you know, send all the rounds outwards. Now, granted, with the magazines, there's usually some type of trap door here, like on the T15, or a detent on here like the M17 that's going to prevent your first strike rounds from just flying out, right? But regardless, last thing you want to do is to have that spring accidentally, you know, release, and now some rounds might come flying out. Or, of course, if you're a round ball player and you're not playing with first strikes, you don't want to have that magazine spring release, and now all that spring tension is placed upon your round ball, squishing it over time. that's going to cause jams because the round ball is going to get oval, and then when you try to go load it into your magazine, it's not going to feed properly now because of it being an oval shape. Okay, guys? So regardless of whether you're playing first strike or not, you don't want that spring mechanism to release early. You want it to release when you go and insert the magazine into your marker. Okay? And so the reason why I'm bringing it up, guys, is as you can see here, I have two different ways. Here, let me take this squeegee out to show you guys. But I have two different ways the magazines are loaded into the chest rig right now. The correct way, or the way that is most advised, with the magazine downwards, upside down, and facing backwards, and of course also the magazine upwards with the front facing to the right, right? With this method, you'll notice that when I go to do a reload, right, I don't have any concern of that spring accidentally engaging. Whereas this is the problem if you have the magazine upwards, facing upwards, like this one. If you go to disengage the strap, right, so that way the strap will be out of the way to go grab the magazine, there's a chance, if you forget, that, and you slide the magazine strap this way, you see that? It literally just released the spring because of that strap engaging the spring when you slide it over. Now, of course, obviously with practice, if you slide it over to the right, it won't do that, right? But it's kind of just one more thing that you have to remember and to train, right? Generally, in those situations, you want to keep things simple, right? Kids, keep it simple, stupid, right? So it's just one less thing to worry about when you have your magazines upside down and loaded the advised recommended way, okay, guys? The other thing too is just playing, right, with this thing, on your chest. What do a lot of people do? They're gonna rest their marker on their chest when they're walking around, right? Sometimes they'll rest their hand on their chest as they're walking around. It's just kind of natural human tendency. And last thing you want is to go and, oops, I accidentally touched the magazine with my hand, right? Or just something hitting, right? Because now that mechanism is exposed. You're gonna accidentally hit it with something, right? So yes, can you load the magazine upwards? But as you can see, there's a lot of cons that will come with it. Like I said, I recommend loading the magazines downwards and facing backwards, just like what a Real Air magazine reload would train you to do. Okay, guys? All right. Cool. Once again, like I said, guys, this is for an assaulter roll position. You want to be able to ensure that you have enough ammo to obviously do the job correctly. And I think that correct number is going to be 5 to 7, guys. Guys, if you guys like that video, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. Thank you. Take care. Peace.